The most popular form of exercise, at least for young adults, is weightlifting and in particular bodybuilding. Bodybuilding helps insecure teens build a body they're proud of and shows what hard work and consistency can lead to. That being said, there's something missing with bodybuilding and people are starting to notice. I've started to notice a trend of bodybuilders who are going away from the stereotypical gym rat who only lifts weight all the time to something much more. So you can tell with this guy whose name is Matthew, he started off as a stereotypical gym rat. I mean, just look at the way he's looking at himself in the mirror. And bro is clearly pretty successful and good at it. He built a great physique and actually competed in a bodybuilding show. And honestly, once most bodybuilders compete, they continue down this path. But I'm sure Matthew was different and recognized something was missing. So he decided to take a different approach to exercise. You can see in his reel that he now does high rocks, which is essentially just a functional fitness race that a lot of people are doing nowadays. And he's doing a variety of different cardio machines like running, cycling, and swimming. He likely realized that bodybuilding / weightlifting doesn't cut it because it isn't improving your fitness to the max potential. And Matthew's not the only one. I've seen other bodybuilders who have done the same thing. They started off training like a lazy bodybuilder prioritizing aesthetics, but then they realized something is missing and that's not the most fulfilling way to train. And that's why we're starting to see these bodybuilders shift away from bodybuilding. And I can completely relate to Matthew and these other bodybuilders. I started off as a small, skinny, insecure kid who wanted to build muscle because I was so small because I hit my growth spurt so late. Like I looked like I was 12 when I was 17 and I'm 26 right now and I probably look like I'm like 20. Although it did take me some time to become consistent, I ended up becoming consistent, and in college I was an absolute gym rat to say the least. I went to the gym 6 days per week and my whole personality was the gym. All I looked forward to every single day was going to the gym, and when I had a rest day, I absolutely hated it because the gym was my entire personality and I loved going so much. I never went down the lazy bodybuilder path though and spammed machines and stable exercises, but I did have a pretty long gym rat phase where all I could think about was building muscle and building an incredible physique. If you're currently unaware, I'm currently rehabbing a postural issue that I made a video on a couple months back. While I've been rehabbing this injury, I've seen a tremendous change in how I see fitness. I'm starting to realize that I put too much emphasis on aesthetics and that hypertrophy training and weightlifting is such a small part of a big picture. Although this is the case for most people, weightlifting / hypertrophy training shouldn't be your only training method, because bodybuilding in particular, at least the way most people are doing it, completely misses the mark when it comes to training for actual fitness. The purpose of exercise is not for vanity reasons or idolizing your body. It's to make you healthier. If your workouts are not making you healthier and you're not getting paid to play a sport, you're completely missing the point. Calvin Bumstead was a pro bodybuilder whose entire goal was essentially to put on as much muscle as possible. And although his workouts and his special supplements weren't making him healthier, at least he was getting paid for it. Yet now we have a ton of idiots online who are taking steroids and doing a bunch of lazy ass workout routines, and they're not even getting paid for it. I mean, that's a different level of stupid. When it comes to health, weightlifting does have its place, but it's not the only part of fitness which you would think it is by looking at the way people train, because all they do is weightlift. The aerobic system is so important, yet most people completely ignore it. Believe it or not, humans were not designed to bench press 225 pounds, as cool as that is. And I'm speaking as a 225 club member myself. Humans were designed to be aerobic beasts and travel long distances to hunt and gather food. When humans hunted animals, they were slower and weaker than these animals, unless you're a physical specimen like me, so they were able to chase the animal for a long period of time until the animal got too tired and then they captured it. When training for health, you low-key want to train the body the way it was designed, and it was designed to be aerobic. So why are so many people skipping out on this part of fitness? This point also ties into my next point, which is training variety. Let's be honest, pretty much everybody has one style of training that they like to do. They either run, lift weights, or do some other activity, but the point is they do one activity and they do that all the time. Bodybuilders pretty much exclusively only lift weights, and every single rep looks identical. If you run or walk on the treadmill, every single rep looks identical. Human movement used to be far more varied. It varied in form, intensity, and distance, and had an element of randomness. Now everyone moves in the same way all the time, if they're moving at all. Going back to Matthew, he does a great job showing variety. In that reel alone, he does high rocks, running, swimming, and cycling. If you only do bodybuilding, you don't get much variety. You're only training your anaerobic system, every single rep looks exactly the same, and you're doing the same movements over and over again. And that form of training is just not very fulfilling. Those are some of the reasons why I think many bodybuilders are starting to go away from bodybuilding. And you may be wondering how you can adopt this new new training philosophy. Because I'm the #1 fitness influencer in the world, I'll tell you exactly how. First, it's definitely okay to take some time to build some muscle. As I mentioned earlier, that's what I did and I don't regret it. Building muscle takes time. And if you spend all your energy on it instead of juggling a bunch of things at once, you'll see the best results. I kind of like to think of it as a video game, kind of like NBA 2K. If I spend all my VC on shooting and don't spend any VC on defending, I will be an amazing shooter. But if I decided to split my VC up and do half on shooting and half on defending, I'll be more well-rounded, but I won't be an expert at any of them. Think of VC as energy, and you can spend your VC on endurance or hypertrophy. If you spend all of it on hypertrophy, which you need energy for training, recovery, and actually creating the new adaptations, you will see a ton of results in that area. If you decide to split up your VC/energy into hypertrophy and endurance, you'll see good results, but you'll get more mid results in both. So if you're someone looking to build muscle, it may make sense to take a couple years just focusing on that. In my opinion, you should do athletic bodybuilding and not do some lazy bodybuilding like all these other bodybuilding influencers preach, because then you still build muscle, but you also build a healthier body that moves better in the process. If you want to learn a little bit more about my training philosophy, I have a free athleticism course in my free community, which you can check out. But anyways, back to building muscle. If that's a goal of yours, you can take a couple years focusing on that, and once you build a solid foundation of muscle, move more towards building endurance and becoming more well-rounded. There's nothing wrong with having a gym rat phase. Just don't be a lazy bodybuilder and stay in this hypertrophy phase for the rest of your life. Make it temporary. Now let's just say you built a solid foundation of muscle, or you're someone that wants to build a great physique and build endurance as well. There are two roads you can take. First is doing more of a hybrid form of training, aka being a hybrid athlete. I don't really like to associate myself with hybrid athletes because I think their training philosophy is a bit flawed, which I'll get into later. Essentially, being a hybrid athlete is where your goal is to run far and run fast, but to also look good. In this case, don't be a stupid hybrid athlete where you overtrain and ignore the interference effect. Be smart and block your training where each block has one specific goal. Generally, each block should be about 8 to 12 weeks if you want to see serious progress. The goal of each block is to build one adaptation, so strength/hypertrophy or endurance, while maintaining the other adaptation. For hypertrophy, an example is lifting 3 to 4 days per week to build muscle, with 2 to 3 low volume endurance sessions to maintain endurance. For endurance, an example is like 4 endurance sessions per week to build endurance, with 2 low volume full body workouts to maintain strength and muscle. Those are just general templates, but it may be different person to person depending on the person's fitness levels and goals. But I think these templates give you a good idea of what each block might look like. The second road you can take is to still primarily lift, but to incorporate cardio to build a decent level of aerobic fitness to facilitate recovery and health. An example of this is just doing the hypertrophy block that I mentioned before, but only doing that and not doing an endurance block. Keep in mind that building a high level of endurance requires a high frequency of like 4 to 6 sessions per week, but if you just want a moderate level of endurance for health reasons, this is a good way to go about it. For your cardio sessions, try and use a variety of different methods. Sometimes run, sometimes walk, sometimes swim, maybe even play a sport. Do high intensity sometimes, do medium intensity sometimes, do light intensity sometimes. Just try and use a variety of different methods and intensities. And of course, when implementing this training philosophy, be careful with overtraining, since it's much easier to overtrain when combining multiple methods. But with the templates and strategies I gave you, you'll be good to go. Adopting either one of these training styles is a far more fulfilling way of exercising. You improve your looks, but it's not your entire goal. You build great strength and movement on top of that if you lift the right way, and you build either a high level of aerobic fitness or enough aerobic fitness to facilitate health. So I hope this video inspired you to change your training philosophy if you haven't already. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And I recently made a video going over some bodybuilding athletes and discussing whether bodybuilding is great for athletes or not, which you should check out.